If you know me, you know I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, and you may also know that I'm a medicine nut. So let me tell you the tale of what in the world happened to Goku when he got a heart virus in air quotes. Before the android attack and the start of the android saga, let's start with what we know. It's hard to pinpoint what exactly Goku contracted the heart virus or how long he may have had symptoms. Viral infections can live inside a host for a while before you start to feel like anything's wrong. Usually some basic signs of a virus is a runny nose, sore throat, watery eyes, all things that can happen for an array of reasons. It's easiest to tell something's actually wrong if you feel feverish or sick, things Goku didn't seem to begin to feel until his fight with the androids. Now let's look at his symptoms. Goku can be seen growing more and more exhausted as the fight continues, and seems to develop more pain in his chest, telltale signs of angina or heart attacks, but we'll get to a diagnosis later. Trust me, it's more interesting than just a heart attack. Goku can be seen with slowed reflexes during the fight and growing more exhausted, showing clear muscle weakness as his attacks aren't hitting as hard as they regularly would. As his symptoms grow worse, he can be seen gripping his chest, specifically the left side, where Gohan, the world's favorite 2B biologist, deduces something's wrong with his heart. Because Goku's gripping his chest on the left side where the heart is located, we can see Goku panting, showing shortness of breath and general difficulty breathing, suggesting blood flow or airflow issue. And in some shots, while Goku's not performing any actions other than sitting or laying, you can spot drops of sweat on his body, which is indicative of heart problems. We can see that through the whole process, Goku's in severe, debilitating pain as he spends most of the time after the initial encounter on the ground. He attempts to use the senzu bean, which, if you're unfamiliar, is basically like a max health potion that erases any damage or hunger in or on your body. Given it hasn't already naturally healed, like Yamcha and Tien's scars, for example. Despite this, it only held for a few seconds before going back to the ground, showing that the senzu beans didn't solve the issue, just gave him a stamina boost that was quickly eaten through in seconds. So we've collected our information of the symptoms that can cause these problems. Let's first look deeper at the problem. We know the heart is the problem, as it's implied multiple times, stated it was a heart virus at first, and later confirmed by Goku's actions and Gohan's obvious deduction. So what heart problems causes pain, difficulty breathing, weakness, and sweating? The obvious answer is a heart attack. It causes all of these symptoms, but a heart attack doesn't make any sense. A heart attack is when blood and or air is not being circulated into the heart, and since oxygen is needed by all organs, including the heart, the tissue in the heart begins to die. The medical term is myocardial infarction, which is mostly Latin, and when translated to English means heart muscle death. This means that the pain you feel when having a heart attack is the tissue of your heart muscle dying. Another contender is angina, despite its funny name. The symptoms are basically completely identical. An angina is basically a minor heart attack in simplest terms. It mostly happens when oxygen is cut from the heart for a short moment, especially in moments of physical strain. But there's usually no muscle death in the heart, and is unlikely for the same reason heart attacks are. Both of these problems require a clog or tightening of the vessels around the heart. The usual causes for this is hyperlipidemia, or in simple terms, too much fat in the blood vessels. It gets stuck in vessels and blocks airflow. This is an issue with people who have high cholesterol, which upon consideration Goku would have. But if his cholesterol storage worked like a normal person's, this would have happened long ago. We know this is a virus, not a blockage. So, what else? Coronary spasms are possible, but this is another cholesterol problem. There can be a few other reasons, but none of them fit either. The final diagnosis I would like to look at is myocarditis and pericarditis. Despite being similar, they're not exactly the same, and I believe it is pericarditis over myocarditis, as I will explain in a few moments. You may have already noticed myo means muscle and cardi means heart. I'll now teach you about the suffix itis, which refers to inflammation. So myocarditis means inflammation of the heart muscle. Peri, in short, means the area around something. So pericarditis would be inflammation of the area around the heart, specifically the pericardium, or a thin sac that surrounds the heart muscle. Both of these issues can stem from viral infections, as inflammation is the body's response for when the immune system detects an antigen in the body or something that doesn't belong, like a virus. Inflammation of the heart or pericardium can cause all the symptoms listed earlier, mostly chest pain, shortness of breath, sweating, and weakness. This is a valid theory because we know the virus is infamous for attacking the heart. and inflammation in the heart as an antigen response just makes sense. I believe he may also have had pericarditis as the pain he's showing seems to be severe, and I believe he's had this for longer than it appears. At some point, depending on how severe, in the morning of that day or during the fight, Goku experienced fluid buildup in the pericardium due to his pericarditis. Scarring and lesions of the pericardium from the virus likely happened, causing the sac to slowly fill up with blood as well as pericardial fluid, which is naturally produced in the pericardium to lubricate the constantly moving heart. The buildup of fluid is called a cardiac tamponade. Symptoms include severe chest pain, lightheadedness, tachycardia, or increased heart rate in normal terms, shortness of breath, hyperventilation, and pain getting less severe when leaning forward or sitting up. And as we've seen, he's favored a position of on his knees instead of laying, leaning forward and clutching his heart. During the recovery process, Goku is mostly out of it, screaming and turning in bed while seeming to be asleep or unconscious whenever he's not flailing. It's likely the tamponade was in his heart long enough to experience cardiogenic shock, which is when your heart is unable to beat or beat hard enough to supply your body with oxygen, causing extreme pain all across the body, and even more breathing problems, sweating, confusion, and syncope, which means fainting. As for the virus in specific, it's hard to say exactly what it is. It's never stated, so we can only speculate as there's not much to go off of. I believe the likely candidate is adenovirus, which can show only mild or even no symptoms and aren't always harmful, but in some unlucky cases can reach the heart and cause pericardial diffusion, which means fluid buildup in the pericardium. It's not the same as cardiac tamponade. It means excess fluid is present and it becomes cardiac tamponade after filling up enough to become extremely problematic by causing too much pressure on the heart. Well, as us neurotrauma surgeons would say, stick a needle in him and shove some thiamine down his throat and he'll be fine. Probably. Thanks for watching this silly project, and I shall see you later. Sorry if you got jump scared by this waiting for another neurotrauma tutorial. There's other stuff I want to make, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. Stay curious, my fellas. Asking stupid questions is fun.